Hi, it's Jennifer with Astros Tree Astrology, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a great topic. Hallelujah! Mars is finally moving out of Gemini. This for me is great because this has been a very extreme malefic for me during these past about 7 months. So Mars moved into Gemini in about in August, on actually August 20th. So it started moving in, goes in, stays a while, starts getting close to the end around the 25th, 27th degree, stops, goes retrograde, moves back, goes back over all that stuff, then turns, stations again, goes direct, moves out, and then finally tomorrow, Saturday, it is going into Cancer. So today we are going to talk about how this affected us, and I'll talk about me in particular because I don't know how it affected you guys yet, but I'd love to hear in the comments after. And also just about how different planets, all planets have their good and evil side, and we'll get into a little bit of that too. Just a little positives and negatives of all the planets and how it really depends on where it falls in your chart and the different aspects it has to the planets in your chart, your sun, moon, and all the planets, and how that all plays out for you. Now, so depending on where this was for you, depends on what part of your life this affected. Now, for me, this was in my 6th house. So when this first went in, I was actually a little bit excited because the 6th house is about everyday routines. It's about your health. It's about your everyday work, and even your pets. So I have a lot of pets. I'm sure you'll see a couple of them popping up pretty soon, which they're going to be kind of discussed in this video a little bit. So I hope they do pop in anyway. So Mars is a natural malefic in a chart. So there's 2 malefics and there's 2 benefics. The benefics are beneficial planets, and they usually bring positivity. That would be Jupiter and Venus. The 2 malefics are ones that can kind of bring a little bit of strife, a little bit of difficulty. So where they are in your chart, especially if they're in a difficult house, could be a little difficult. Now, the 6th house, for instance, in my chart, in anybody's chart, is known as a more difficult house. It's not about the fun things. Back traditional astrology, it had to do with slaves and the people that work for you, and that type of thing. It's opposed to the 12th house, which is another house that's kind of looks down upon. So with Mars can be great, where it can get you started, it gets you going, it can give you a little push. So what I was hoping this would do in my chart, for instance, it would get me back exercising again, because I am a runner, I love running, and I said, oh, this is going to help, it's going to be great, it's going to get me motivated. So also it got me, with pets. So I started looking at getting another dog. So I have 2 dogs. One of them's she's a mix, a rescue, and she's great. And I kind of wanted to get her a friend for her because my other dog is a little Yorkie. He's just about to turn 16 years old, so he's not super playful. And of course I had 2 cats at the time as well. So I started looking at another dog, and I looked at it and I said, I looked at the Mars going through, and I said, that could be aggressive. Maybe I should be careful. And I was more worried about my little dog. So I said, you know what? Maybe it's just a go for it. So when you do something like this, and when you read your own chart, you always want to be, and when you read charts of people close to you, you want to be unbiased. You don't want to look and see what you want to see. You want to see what's actually there and what actually can play out, because you'll see that me being biased, looking at my chart, wanting a new dog, how it played out really badly for me. So first of all, there has been with this the work stuff. So we've had a lot of work problems, a lot of infighting around work. So you have, Mars is very can be aggressive, can be combative, and then you have Gemini. So a lot of other things that were going on within my work. There's a lot of kind of backstabbing, kind of two-faced type things. Get a little bit of that with Gemini's, the kind of the two people. So you gotta get one person one day, one person another day. That was playing out perfectly, so okay, well, that's gonna be the negative in that for me. Well, so then we ended up finding a dog. She looked like she would be amazing. They said that she would do great with my little dog that was older. Get her home, it was great. She was getting along with everybody. There was just like something that just kind of made us both a little edgy. Here's where the story takes a bad turn. So it was on October 18th, or 17th. It was Monday. I was coming home from work. My husband was waiting for me outside, and he told me that the dog actually had killed the two cats I had. That was my cat Carrot and my cat Nil. It was pretty much the worst thing that had ever happened to me, and it's hard for me to even talk about, but I'm just sharing with you because this is, well, you have to be careful, and you have to, even with adopting a dog, you just have to be careful. And it was, my pets are my life. I'm sure you hear balls rolling around now. That's a little more to the story. But it was pretty much one of the worst days of my entire life, knowing what I did that brought that into the house when I saw that flag, when I saw that Mars there, and it made me second guess and think, maybe this isn't a good idea. But I did it anyway. And unfortunately, it was horrible. So those were my babies. I don't know if you can see them. There we go. That looks pretty good. So this was Carrot right here, and this was Nils. And they were my life. So anyway, on a brighter note, so after that happened, everyone knew how devastated we were, and it was around the time that Mars went retrograde that a friend of mine at work told me about these kittens that were found, and they were in a dumpster. Someone had taken them away from their mother. The mother was abandoned. They took them away from the mother, and they just threw them out in the dumpster, just disposed of them. And the person he knew found them in the dumpster, and she took them in. They were a couple days old, and she nursed them for about a month. And he said, "Do you want them?" Because she can't keep them. And I didn't think I was ready, but you know what? That Mars retrograde was telling me to start again, to go back and maybe start over. So I ended up getting these little stinkers, and I know if you've watched my videos, you've probably seen them. There's one in the background now playing with something very loudly. Probably like Easter egg decorations that I have around the house. But so I got them, and so it's kind of like to a horrible thing comes a blessing, and it's just going with the flow of the planets moving back and telling you to try again. And we did, and we tried again, and it's really helped us get through such a horrible time. So this is kind of what I mean about, you don't want to be biased. You want to really open your eyes and learn what these planets mean. So I'm going to get into now a little bit about the differences and the pros and cons of all planets and how they could benefit you and how they could hurt you. So you want to see, the different aspects and how they play out again in your chart to see how they're going to affect you. So first of all, we have Mercury. So Mercury is the way you learn, the way you process information, communication. It's very playful. It's how you can talk to people and how you, communication. the negatives is it can be a little childlike. It's known to be a prankster and a trickster. So if you know anyone like this that has a strong Mercury, maybe someone that's a Gemini or a Virgo, they could be overly pranky, so they could like play a lot of tricks on you, and it could be a little much sometimes. So again, there's goods and bads, and the extremes really are how it plays out in your own chart. So next we have Venus. Now Venus seems like all good. It's a benefic. It's natural benefic. So when you think of Venus, it's all things beauty. It's all things love. It's got money, popularity, all things that seem fantastic. But sometimes, when you have too much in abundance, maybe you are a beautiful person naturally, but then there could be vanity that comes along with that. Maybe you're too obsessed with beauty. And then there's, of course, greed. When has to do with money and having beautiful things around you. You could have, shopping addictions. You could have, things like that where you just want and want and want and nothing's ever good enough. Also pride, maybe, when you are the popular kid in school, maybe you have a little too much pride. Maybe you're not really friendly with the other kids in school, maybe the not so popular ones. So you want to keep a nice balance there, and you want to see how things balance out in your chart. Next we have Mars, which we kind of got into. Now Mars, again, great for getting you going, getting you started, but you got to watch the aggression. It can be confrontational, can be aggressive, but it really, it's spontaneity, it's lust, it's sexuality, it's a lot of great things. But it can also be, if you act without thinking, sometimes it could be a detriment, and sometimes it can be hurtful to the people around you. So next we're going to go to Jupiter. If I can find it in my little props. So Jupiter is another one that's a natural benefic, and everyone thinks, oh, it's so positive, it's great, it brings abundance, it brings happiness, joy, youth and fun, and like higher ideals, higher learning, religion, things like that. But again, too much can be too much. You think of, going out, partying, drinking too much, but you're having fun. So maybe that could be too much. So maybe you need to kind of reel that in a little bit. Same thing with anything. You are too very, if you even think of like Sagittarians and the way they are, I know my daughter, what she says goes, and she doesn't like to hear, things that aren't the way she thinks. This is, their learning, and what they think is, you don't want to be preachy. You don't want to be self-righteous. You want to be, kind of understanding of all and accepting. So that can be the kind of negatives that might go along with Jupiter. Saturn, of course, is a natural malefic. So everyone thinks, oh, Saturn, it's so bad. It's all about, no, not this. You can't do this. You can't do that. But Saturn can also be about maturity, sobriety. You think, this is what's keeping you sane and focused and going. It's about wisdom that you gain with learning throughout your ages. When you think of Saturn, you think of an older, wiser person. Then, hi, Pickle. This is my new one, Pickle, if I can get him up here. Come on. But with the bad, Saturn can also be very rigid, very stubborn. They could be closed-minded and negative almost. So again, it's where this kind of falls in your chart. It's how it's going to play out for you. So then we have Uranus. So Uranus is It's kind of a planet of originality, eclectic people, rebellious people. It's a lot to do with technology, electronics, change. Oh, there's Pickle. See him in the background. I have another one too named Bean. He's around somewhere. I'm sure he'll pop in at one time or another. He's the black one. As you can see, all my pets are named after food. That's my Taurus moon right there, just loving everything to do with food. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. So Uranus, the bad things about that, they can be unpredictable. They can be, you know, if you have a love relationship that they have a strong Uranus, they could not be faithful. They, you know, are restless. Sometimes, you know, too much electronics and too much of this, you know, what's going on in the world now with, you know, ooh, okay, here's Bean. I'm gonna put him on the floor. So say hi, Bean. That's my other baby. So those are my new ones. They're about 5 months old now. Okay, so I was hoping they'd come in, but maybe not to that extent. So next we have Neptune. Now Neptune is about illusion, delusion, intuition, your spirituality, what your gut tells you. It's imaginative. It's like big, dreamy, you know, let me see what I can do. You know, it's boundless. It's what I can do, how far I can go. The negative with this is that you might have a false sense of reality. If this is big in your chart near your Venus, for instance, in relationships, you might be a little too naive. You might be a little too accepting of, you know, thinking things are too good to be true. That you kind of look at everything with rose-colored glasses, and maybe it's hard for you to see the truth. So, you know, it's very helpful to look at this stuff with when you're looking at compatibility with somebody else. And we'll have a compatibility video coming up. I'm working on it right now about like love compatibility, and even with partnerships, because you have to be compatible if you're in a partnership. So lastly, we have Pluto. So Pluto is a transformative. It's like the caterpillar to the butterfly. It just complete metamorphosis change. It's not like the little quick, fast, abrupt changes like in Uranus. It's more of a slow moving transformation, one that you usually don't come back from. It's a long-term change, which sometimes can be good. Sometimes it can be really helpful. Sometimes it can be difficult because it does take a long time, but then it can help you in the long run, and it can be good for you in the long run. One of my transits with Pluto was through my first house, and that took about 20 years, and that really made me accept the person that I was, something that I really wasn't when I was younger. And it got me out of my shell and able to speak to all you today and kind of be myself and accept myself for who I am, and the kind of weird, you know, astrology loving, tarot card reading, you know, that type of thing. You know, not like everybody else, especially my husband, who is a Capricorn, with a Capricorn sun, and he's got a Virgo moon. We're not too sure. We did a little rectification of his birth time because he wasn't sure about it, but we think he's an Aries rising, and that would not surprise me with the scars on his face, and we'll get into that with a rising video that we'll do in the future. But I hope that this gains you a little bit of knowledge about how you should look objectively at things, and when you're doing a reading for yourself, or even for somebody else, maybe someone in your family, you want to, you know, really give them the truth and really tell them you know, what you're really seeing. It might be hard. You don't want to be super negative, but you kind of want to put things out there. It's like, oh, no, you got Mars in your 6th house. Maybe adopting a dog right now is not too great of an idea. But we live and learn, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please like, and if you want to see future episodes of some of the ones I talked about coming up, please ding the little bell and you'll get notifications of my new videos coming out. Please subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear how this has played out for you. So look at what's happened to you in the past about 7 months. See what's kind of been an aggressor or a push in your life, and please let me know in the comments. I think it'd be a lot of fun to get to know you guys a little better. So I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.